Right, good morning, welcome back. Okay, today, as the title says, front brake master cylinder. Now, as I learned in the last video, the front brake was absolutely heaving inside. That thick brown gravy just flooded out and it definitely needed rebuilding. But there was nothing really worn out in there. It was just really dirty. Now, when I ordered that colossal big box of parts for this project, there was no master cylinder repair kit available. It wasn't in stock. And the best that Wimoto could do for me is to send the internals for this one off to them and they will match them. And that's perfectly doable because the Nissin braking system that this bike has, it's very common to some Honda bikes as well. In fact, the brake pad pin that I put in that front caliper came in a bag with Honda genuine parts written on it. It's identical, it's the same part. Many manufacturers use the same parts from companies like Nissin and Tokiko and various other braking companies. So in this case, I might not need to re-kit this. I'm hoping when I strip it apart, it's just dirty, I can clean it, put it back together and it will be absolutely fine. If not, then I'll have to send the internals off to Wimoto and they'll match them with some new internals. Fingers crossed that's not the case, so let's get it apart and find out. Right, the seals are absolutely perfect. And I don't think I've seen in recent memory a master cylinder come apart that is as fresh as that. You might think that that was rebuilt a recent time ago, and yet somehow it's ended up with a mixture of peanut butter and Caramac in there, which just needs washing out because it's all loose, it's all wet, it's all pouring out. I don't know why or don't know how that's ended up in there, and I don't really care because it's going to wash out nicely. Now the seals here, even down to the original dust boot, it just looks new. And it's quite possible, remember, a 20-year-old bike, that this maybe has been rekitted in the past by someone, because all of the internals here are spotlessly clean. And I'm very happy to put this back together after a thorough cleaning and removing all the confectionery that's living inside it. So let's get it all cleaned up and see if it still looks as good once it's been washed. Right, there we go, ready to put back together, absolutely spotless. That simply washed off with a little degreaser and some brake cleaner to dry all that away. Even the orange staining that was on the inside of the sight glass, it just washed out. That is absolutely superb. The glass in that isn't even cloudy, and that's very often the case after 20 years, is these little sight glasses, they just go cloudy and a bit opaque, but that one, it's completely crystal clear like a brand new master cylinder. It truly is. Down inside the bore, it's a perfect mirror finish, it's flawless in there, and I'm very happy to rebuild this exactly as it is. As for the rubber seals, a close-up look at those with a magnifying glass. They're sharp on the edge, there's no scuffing on them or anything, so they look absolutely fine, and it was working perfectly before, even though it was full of all that sludge. So that will go back together superbly. New fittings as well, new stainless banjo, new stainless bolts for the clamp, new screws and new washers. Everything will go back together nicely. So a little bit of rubber lube, slap it back together, ready for the new hose, and then I can plumb it up. So let's put it back to one piece. Right, there we go. All done. One master cylinder fully refurbished without having to need new rubber seals. I get questions quite often from people, especially on fork seals, saying, "Del, I'm pulling the forks apart to clean all the sludge out and change the oil because it's never been done, but they're not leaking. So do I need to put new seals in?" Well, no, not really. If you can get them out without damaging them, which if you use the right method you can, and you're careful, like I was with this, nothing gets broken, nothing gets split, and you can put the old seals back in as long as they're not worn out and they weren't leaking. And the reason this is okay, because there are plenty of pious people out there who say, just get new seals. Why wouldn't you get new seals? Well, obviously, if you can afford it, yeah, I agree. But sometimes people have got to pay the mortgage, put food on the table, feed the babies, and it's not always easy to just buy new stuff, especially when you need to keep your bike on the road to get to work. So in this instance, that's a perfect example. Strip it apart. If you're not sure, if it ain't leaking, but you know that through that sight glass it's full of toffee, as it was. We cleaned it all out, cleaned everything spotless, put it back together, and that's like brand new. Just waiting for a new hose because the old hose is going to be full of that stuff and I can't get inside there to clean it. Calipers like new, masters like new. When I'm finished, my brakes are going to be better than they left in the factory. Fantastic. A great way to do it. You don't always have to spend the money. This project is costing a fortune. And if I'm not careful, at the end of the build, it's going to have cost me far more than it's worth. And then when I come to sell it to fund the next build, that's when it gets awkward. So cut the cloth now and again and just refurb stuff. Easy. I'll see you next time.